Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your hosts Edward McQueen and April Garner.
We are live, 7 p.m. Well, supposedly. April, what's happening?
Give us a chance to build up the audience.
That's right. Hey, especially in light of what's all that happened today. I tell you. Oh, man. That's why we're not going to have a guest this week. We expected a lot of stuff this week come up to let our audience know that exactly, what happened and what's going to be happening. We feel obligated to update everyone and make sure that, the word gets out for all the more important matters that impact our community in such a way. I'm sure you agree with that. So anyway.
Who are you?
Huh?
Who are you? You just jumped right into it. I know you're anxious to talk about what you want to talk about. You didn't even tell anybody who you are.
I'm telling you. Well, I'm Ed McQueen. I'm your host today. And of course, your co-host, Sister April Garner.
Trying to keep them straight, y'all. How you doing tonight? Hello.
You're doing a good job at keeping straight, yeah. So
yeah.
Man, so April, it's another week now, and a lot has happened, and a lot is going to be happening, and some future projections that we probably want to share with our audience, especially regarding one topic, sensitive topic for local people, even though we are national and international, but for our local viewers, we have the Whittemore Elementary issue that needs to be talked about again. Okay, a lot of people are not happy with what is planned, so I don't want to start off with that right now. I'd like to start off by wishing, we've got some elders in the community. I tell you, and look, these are role models for me because I want to reach their age and at the same time have their cognizant abilities, the ability to to function like everybody else at these ages. Okay, so we're talking about 97 and 99 years old. I mean, man, I tell you, and also we have for you just to take a peek at it was an interesting formal, we call it a formal affair, but it's called Girls and Pearls. That's what, and this
Guys and Ties, Girls and Pearls.
Yeah, Guys and Ties, Girls and Pearls. And what we have to show you, you're going to see that it reflects that title. Okay, not very much of it, but because of our abilities here to do these on this venue, but it's so good. It was so impressive to see our young people and just wanting to be engaged like that. That was developed by two people that saw the need to do so. So anyway, we'll get to that at a certain moment. But April, where do you want to start?
Well, I want to remind our viewers that, of course, we want you to be engaged in the conversation. And basically, what Brother Edward and I are doing is a segment that we started some months ago. And we're kind of revisiting that today. Just like you said, we don't have a special guest, but a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about are happening around our town and in our cities. And so I think a few days ago or whatever, I posted on the network that if you had any special events or community happenings coming up that are, free to the public, resources, things of that nature, that, you could post those things and we'll talk about those things today to make everybody aware of what's going on around town in our city. So if you have something that you want me to share, go ahead and post it so that I can get it into this broadcast tonight. Otherwise, just post it to the network or whatever, and we'll share it as usual. But it's always good, to be able to share, especially free community events with our viewers. And then from there, of course, we'll take it in the direction that Brother Edward was talking about. But please post your comments and questions. Let us know what's going on, things that you would like for us to cover or discover for you, and we'll do just that. So, Brother Edward, you tell me which way you want to go, and we can start with any of the wonderful things that you just talked about.
Okay. I want to hold off a bit about what happened at City Council today until I feel that the viewers have had the opportunity to settle in and get on to hear what we have to say. Okay, but let's start with our respect that we're paying to our elderly. You can start with either one of these two beautiful young ladies. I'm absolutely, really beautiful people. And I'm looking for 20 more, 30 more years to talk with them. Same Ray, okay? I really am. Again, as I mentioned earlier, they're my role models. Okay, I want to be like them. Want to be cognizant of what I'm going to be saying, what I'm saying, and as independent as they are. Mm-hmm. So let's start with the oldest, Miss Rutilla.
Miss Rutilla Great. Okay.
Miss Rutilla Great.
All right. So we're going to play a little clip, and of course, Miss Rutilla Great just recently celebrated her 99th birthday, and her family had a nice birthday parade for her, and so we captured some of her moments and her thoughts. And of course, this is 99 years of pure wisdom. So let's see what Miss Rutilla has to say.
And I think about that. And each morning I say a prayer as we always did with the picture of my husband. And he's still looking at me, and we are still saying, thanking the Lord for keeping us through the night, and thank Him for the years that He gave us together each day. And my life is still beautiful with my husband, with the picture that I have of my husband, and the opportunity that God has given me to thank Him still for the years that He gave us together. So I don't know, I still have a beautiful life, and I can thank Him for these 99 years that He has given me. Just wondering, what could I do really to, I won't say to repay the Lord, because I can't repay Him for all the good that He has been to me. But
yeah, man, I tell you. Now, Ms. Rutilla, we also celebrated her last year, and we had the opportunity to do photos of the people who were driving by, and just giving her gifts, and and praising her to keep on keeping on, and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. We really wish that we could do this to a lot of people, and who in their 90s like that. Okay, I'm going to say in their 90s, because that's a milestone. I think anytime you reach 90,
oh yeah.
That's a milestone. We wish that, so if we have some of our viewers who want to let us know about some people who reach those type of milestones, please let us know. Okay, you can give us you can go to wcmagazine.net, or you can go WhittyMooreMagazine@gmail.com. Everybody knows that. Okay, WhittyMooreMagazine@gmail.com. So, April, who's the next beauty? The next young lady.
Young lady.
Yeah. and go ahead. We'll get Miss.
All right. So the next young lady who celebrated her 97th birthday is Miss Cret Bellamy. And so we're going to play a little clip and hear what Miss Cret has to say. It's just so amazing to, see them, and they honestly do not really look their ages. And the other part of it is that, yeah, they don't. And, Miss Ruchilla, she wears her heels, and up until maybe a year or so ago, I believe she was still driving. I don't know if she's still driving or not. I have to see if you watch it, tell us if she's still driving.
Yeah, she said on the other video. She said on the video that she's
still driving.
That's what she said.
Ooh, wow. Okay.
That's what she said.
Yeah. So, but like she says, she really can't. She doesn't have enough words to thank God for everything. And I'm telling you,
absolutely,
they've certainly lived blessed lives. So let's see what Miss Cret Bellamy has to say.
Go ahead. You can talk.
Yes, sir. I'm just happy to be here. Glad to be 97. It's been a pleasure. The Lord has blessed me till now. And I just thank Him. I praise Him. And I thank the people that taken care of me. I thank all of you all that love me and take care of me and look after me. And I thank God for Jesus for taking care of me. And I thank all of you.
So, when is your birthday, Miss Cret?
July 14th, 19. I was born July 14th, 1924.
So, who's this fabulous person that's providing all this care for you that's standing over here? That's Phyllis.
Phyllis Wedge, my daughter.
That's right. And she's been doing a great job.
Thank you.
Been doing a great job.
Thank you.
Do you what do you have in the plans for next year?
Well, I hope I'll be living to see a bright, sunshine days. Hope I can do the best I can. Hope I can do what I've been doing in the past, treat everybody right as much as I can. And keep on moving up King's Highway.
King's Highway?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So,
Yeah.
You miss church? You
Pardon?
Do you miss going to church?
Yeah, I miss going to church, and I miss the friends and people and neighbors and everybody. I miss all the congregation and everything. Yep.
That's good. Very good. Thank you.
Miss Cret is real matter of fact. She.
Oh yeah.
She's a true form right there. Mm-hmm.
Make no mistake about that.
Yeah, but two very lovely women, very classy women. And we just want to wish them all the best and God bless, and so happy to see that they've made it this far.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm telling you, role models. Okay. And again, we appeal to our audience that if you know someone, could be a family member or whomever that has reached those type of milestones, hey, just give us a call or send an email, WhittemorMagazine@gmail.com, and we'll try to get her on video or him on video, and let the world know that we have such beautiful and such I'm going to use the word productive people, and reaching that kind of milestone, especially in Horry County. So, congratulations, everybody. Both of our two, I'm going to say my beauty pageants, beauty pageants, and congratulations to their caretakers. Okay, I mean, it's not really. They don't need a whole lot of care, I don't think, from what I've seen. But for Miss Cret Bellamy, her daughter Phyllis won't let her out of her sight. Miss Phyllis Bellamy Wedge, she's doing a fantastic job. That's why she mentioned Phyllis's name, and of course her son Bobby Bellamy, who's the mayor's husband. And they all do it. They go down there constantly. So just doing a fantastic job. So she's blessed to have this kind of care. And Ms. Rutila, her daughter, Miss Mary, doing a great job. Okay. But again, Ms. Rutila said that she still drives. So what can I say at 99? But anyway, let's talk a little bit about the what happened today at, and then later on we'll talk about the guys and the girls and pearls.
Guys and ties, girls and pearls.
Guys
Okay.
and ties, yeah, okay. Today at the City Council, I think that the purpose of the this particular topic, which was on the agenda, was to talk about the Whittemore Elementary Schools, the status of Whittemore Elementary School. To just give you a little history on that, the mayor sent out a communique, I guess about 4 days ago, and said that the city council and I guess the city itself had come to the conclusion that I don't know if it's definite or not, but the plan is to demolish Whittemore Elementary School. Today at the city council, we had a young man to speak for the rest of the community. His name was Cedric Blaine Spain, and Cedric articulated excellent articulation of the issue itself and the need for more dialogue before before they carried this plan out about demolishing Whittemore Elementary School. I have to say, in all fairness, that I think both sides, the desire to demolish it and the desire to keep it, gave good merits. Okay, one of the deciding factors that may be the deciding factor is the asbestos in the building, and I think they use that as one of the strong justifications for concluding that that the building should be demolished. And they had gotten some funds from a local entity to do that, a private entity, I believe, to demolish the building. So the neighbors, the immediate neighbors, and all of most of Conway who have legacy relationships with Whittemore itself, look at it as something that you're tearing away the history that's for the most of our lives. I mean, for some 40, 50 years, 60 years, maybe 70 in a lot of people's cases. And I think the articulation that took place today by Cedric indicated that that there should be more dialogue, and there should not be a jump at demolishing the building right now because of the legacy. Okay, and there's some truth to that. There is a lot of legacy to that, and the examples were brought up that compared to other buildings that had asbestos in it, that was, they saved the building, they remedied the asbestos. I believe is what I heard today, and so the question was, why not do the same thing with Whittemore Elementary School? So maybe we can we look at some of our? Oh, by the way, a huge number of people at the city council today from the immediate neighborhoods that they feel that they are impacted by that decision. So I want to look at some of these comments, April, and see.
We can, but I do have some questions about some of the things that you just pointed out. Now, I don't remember you saying it, but you actually attended the city council meeting today.
Right.
All right. And so on the when the discussion was brought up about,
Excuse me, April. I attended as a media participant. Okay.
Yeah, and that's fine. Even if you attended as a media
right,
participant, that part is fine.
Okay.
That means that you really absorbed the facts because you were there as media.
As much as I could, yeah.
Right. So, as media, you attended, and what was said whenever, if I recall correctly, Cedric expressed the fact that there've been other schools that have gone through revitalization or whatever, even with their asbestos situations, and what was said as far as why that isn't an option for Whittemore Elementary?
Well, one of the things was what's the asbestos issue? They had an architectural consultant, I believe is what they said, to give them a report that showed that is a justification for the school to be demolished. Okay, and in that report, I think the driving force was asbestos, and the cost involved for I think it was a figure like $14 million. I think I heard for restoring the building to be habitable. Okay, now that figure compared to the other figure they came out with was 400 some thousand to demolish it and get it over with. I mean, there's enough said on that. Okay, there's just no comparison. And so I think they concluded that they would have more, or at least another community meeting before they move forward with anything else. And this is what I think Cedric had asked for, to have another meeting, and they agreed that they would do that, at least from the mayor. So she speaks for the city council, I believe. So we'll have to wait and see, but I think I'd like to ask the community if it would, we could just sit back and just wait for another discussion, but be prepared to have more comparisons, I believe. And there was a strong justification put forth there by Cedric for recognizing the impact of moving that school. I mean, of demolishing that school. He mentioned the elimination of a legacy, like I said earlier, that is really full of history, among other things. So they agreed that they would have another meeting, a community meeting, and what could come out of that, nobody knows. Nobody knows. But the idea that they agreed to have another meeting, I think that should be a catalyst for the community itself to keep this going, and if they want to achieve their goals of keeping the school, to keep it going, and be prepared for the next meeting.
So I know that some years ago, and
2017, you're talking about, yeah.
It was 2017 when that happened. Okay, so in 2017 there was a meeting, and the community was invited. It was I attended, and it was a very diverse meeting, meaning black, whites, whatever, to talk about the future of that particular property. And it was more just a meeting where people sat in and just listened to what the city had to say. We actually were engaged in exercises to come up with solutions for that particular property.
Right.
Now, there was like a survey type of a exercise, and we had to break into small groups at tables and actually work with people who we may or may not have known at the time, just to kind of, think out loud about some of the things that, would be great for that particular property. And I believe that one of the things that fails to happen when you have meetings of that nature is the follow-up. And I don't know if there's if there was a follow-up. I don't remember that there was a follow-up, but if there was follow-up, I know there was, I think, a couple of meetings that happened just to give everybody an opportunity to chime in. But, after all of those ideas and thoughts were collected, I think one of the questions that I initially have is, what happened to that data? What happened to that information? Because it was at that time back in 2017, which is now, 4 years later, almost 5 years later, when the city discovered what the community wanted to see in that particular property, or what the community thought could happen with that property. So here's what we have now. We're in 2021. And we're talking about a property that has been on those grounds. It was already dilapidated when the discussion started. You have weather and the elements and vandalism and some of everything else that's probably happened to that property. It was already, in a hazardous state. And as I recall, you can't even really walk through that building without, any type of protectant, meaning hazmat suits, because the asbestos is so bad and all of that. So, within those the 4 or 5 years since that whole study, that community study happened, what actually happened with that information? Because I feel that there's, definitely some things that did not happen that's gotten us to this point. So that's one thing that I kind of gleaned from this. The other thing is that when we as a community have things on the radar, Brother Edward, I think it's important for us to make sure that if it's going to be a priority when it's about to be demolished or dismissed, it needs to be a priority at the moment that it becomes a part of the discussion.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Now we're in a reactive state versus being in a proactive state, trying to save a building that may not be inhabitable. And even if the studies show to our satisfaction that it's not inhabitable, I think that what's going to happen is we're still going to have people who are like, well, we could have done something. We could have done something across the board is very true. But what is the something? Even if we can save the building as a community, who is going to save it? Who is going to fund it? $14 million is a lot of money that cannot be raised overnight unless somebody knows somebody with the winning lottery numbers or some very deep pockets who's willing to come in and save the property. But I think that as a community, we have an awesome opportunity at this point, especially if we have the ear of City Council, to come together and first of all, bring that information out that was gathered some 4 or 5 years ago to see what some of the desires are that the community had. The other part is as a united front, meaning the Whittemore community, the legacy community,
Right.
We also have to come together to talk about what we want in terms of what we'd like to see to maintain the legacy. So, was anybody talking about that type of thing at the council meeting? Like, did anybody question what happened with the information? And also at this point, what can actually be done? Because what I don't want to see happen is that, we're being pacified with a little bit of time when really nothing can be done to save the building.
Yeah, I think no options were presented, but the things that could be done were associated with the cost. Okay, and they put that out in the forefront. All this had a bearing on the decision by the architect and the consultant, apparently. And if somebody wants to chime in and send a comment, then fine and correct me. But all this, that was part of the input that the architect used. And that's normal for architects and engineers. Okay, they get community input like that. And but you mentioned something earlier that was key, and I believe, and that is the hazardous nature of trying to navigate if you ever go into the building. I haven't been in there, but and they mentioned that themselves, that you need a hazardous suit on. Okay, so the architect, I'm sure, had all of that had consumed all of that to come up with in his report to say why the building should be demolished. Now, there are options I think that the community can take, and if the city is willing to meet us halfway or go all the way, then I think we should explore those things. I'm just forcing my opinion on that. I think we should explore those things, like a new building. Okay, but from an engineering perspective, I just fear, and I've seen this happen maybe 2 times in Conway, but after the fact, after somebody had been diagnosed with lung cancer and all that kind of stuff, that they said that 2 structures, 3 houses down from them, they saw the people. I'm not going to call names, but they said they saw the people with hazardous uniforms on, and they were demolishing this structure. So the community didn't say didn't do anything about it. Now the contractors, they were protecting themselves, but once asbestos is airborne, that's people don't know how critical that is. Once it's airborne, they don't, it stays around, I believe, for a while. Okay, and when that thing gets, and that's what I fear with the Whittemore Elementary School. You're dealing with a critical, a unique situation there. Maybe if they could do something other than just demolishing in that neighborhood, I would feel comfortable them doing that right now, because they can. One of the options is, when you're dealing with asbestos, that you can encapsulate it. That is, you just got to put on strict rules. I haven't been in that. I haven't been in the Whittemore Elementary School, but it could be gone past that point where you just can't even do that. Okay?
Yeah, it's pretty bad over there. It really
bad.
is. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't been in it, but I know the criticality of asbestos and addressing asbestos. So, yeah.
So, I think that, when we think about where the conversation should be right now, having heard what the city has to say, and I think there's a lot of emotion behind what people want to happen, and that could be, I don't want to say necessarily clouding judgment about what could happen, but when you're really emotional and passionate about something, sometimes you're unyielding. You don't want to hear anything else. I don't know if we're beyond, hearing or any plans or any ideas for saving the current structure, but we certainly aren't beyond plans to take that particular piece of land and to create something that would be in honor of Whittemore Elementary School. And if it means saving bricks that would not be considered a biohazard, or, some piece of the edifice to add or incorporate into a new structure, maybe that's more of the conversation going forward. Because I just personally feel like if the building is in such bad condition and we lobby for a building that is in such poor condition, what exactly are we saving? In terms of, are we trying to save I know we're trying to save the history, but the structure has a lot left to be desired. So who has the answer to what can be done if the city wakes up in the morning and says, okay, concerned citizens of Horry County, Conway, Whittemore, Legacy, we've decided that you all we'll follow you, whatever plan you'd like to refurbish this. However, we cannot pay for it in full. Then, what is going to happen in terms of taking this piece of property and actually bringing it to a state where it could be, useful and viable in the community, if there isn't a group or some constituency that hasn't come together to say, yeah, we do have a plan for this. We also have some funding for this. Now, I know there's funding out there for that. Someone mentioned FEMA funding. I don't know if FEMA funding can legally be used for something like this, because I don't think that structure was under any kind of, FEMA guidelines. I know that there's some talk about the COVID Relief Act money that might be out there. There's just so much circulating about what's all inside of the dynamics of this particular property. But until we have the facts and the truth about what's really going on, it might be more productive for us as a community to come together and come up with some solutions for what we want and how we plan to get there, even if the building has to go away. Because even if the structure goes away, you know what? A hurricane tornado can come and take the structure away. The legacy and the history of that property still remains. So what are we as a community going to present to the city to maintain the legacy, to make sure we always have a presence on that site? And so, was there any talk about there being an adjustment to the plans so that if they do have to demolish the building because it's just too dangerous to occupy, there can be some other options there that would also infuse the legacy of Whittemore? Did they talk about any of that?
Well, what the city presented was, to me, was more scripted than anything else. Okay, we had the city administrator had presented a case for why they concluded that the building should be demolished. Okay, and that case was, as I said earlier, was the poor structure of the building, the hazardous, the danger it is for the community, and so forth. So there wasn't a whole lot of dialogue coming back from the city council itself, but the city administrator, and people can comment and correct me if I'm wrong, but he had a scripted reason, and that's what he read from that. So and again, FEMA wasn't even mentioned, by the way. FEMA wasn't even mentioned, and what I caught a hold of was the $14 million they said that it would cost to build, to restore, I believe, to renovate the structure. Mm-hmm. That's renovating. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now that probably needs to be debated in terms of whether it's worth it or not.
And also what the structure would look like, because if they're trying to say that the current structure going back to that same plan will be 14 million, I'd probably debate that as well. But if they're talking about, building something that's more elaborate than what's currently there, I could see that when you think about the cost of schools and other buildings that are being built, because it's more than just, and it's 14 million just the cost to actually build it, or is that a maintenance, or there maintenance costs involved with that as well? There's other things that, you have to consider.
Yeah, you're mentioning sustainability. Mm-hmm. Okay, and that didn't even come into play. Okay, but that's something that needs to be addressed. Okay, before we start taking over a project like that. Okay, because that's a recurring cost on an annual basis, I believe, or on a monthly basis. No, I mean it's again. There were 3 meetings. And Ms. McIver says so on her comments there. Mm-hmm. The mayor conducted those meetings. Okay, I think you mentioned previously. They were very, very productive meetings. I thought everybody provided some input. She had them at different schools that she could find. Mm-hmm. Now, it sounded like what they found in the building was overriding of what the community desire was, because the initial desire was to have a community center. Community center, yeah. Okay. So, but an architect can find something that's an architect is going to do a cost benefit analysis. Okay, he's going to say, which it did. Say today was that it's cost, I think it was $400,000 to demolish it, I believe.
So did they talk about what would happen after they demolish it and what they were planning to put there?
I don't think I digested exactly what they had any plans for putting in, but
I think that would
They
be
may be waiting on the community to give them input on that. And one of the, I think, let me say this. One of the city councilmen did say that the things that they talked about in the past in 2017 about, and they still feel that this is the desire of the community, and do want to address the issues of the community, and that is a community center that seems to be hot on the board, because that was brought up at least once, saying that they did talk about having a community center there. Now, where it's going to go from there, I don't know. I just don't know. But I think when the community itself needs to come and start strategizing for how we could provide input for this meeting that they agreed to have.
Well, I think the community has already done that. I think what needs to happen is that the city needs to reveal what the community said they wanted, and then in order to show us the rationale behind everything, they just basically need to go through and tell us why these things cannot happen, and also give us ideas about what can happen. Based on some of the ideas that were given, because I don't think that all of the ideas are dead just because we can't use that actual building. I think people need to think outside the box in terms of that as well. And I get the legacy behind the edifice. However, if it's uninhabitable, if we cannot go in there, if it's dangerous for you to walk in there as is, nobody viewing or listening can honestly think that it's not going to cost millions of dollars to clean that up. And I doubt that the city is willing to put up $14 million, for that type of a structure. It's probably not a priority of theirs. And whether they said it or not, city council, I don't know. 400,000 plus is certainly probably a lot easier for them to come up with, to demolish the building and just start from scratch doing whatever, because for them, they could demolish it and it turns into a park. It could, there could be a number of different things, but we don't know yet what all was said or what was collected in terms of information during those fact-finding or discovery meetings that were held in the beginning. And I just think that, the community, the city owes the community that, just to send out some kind of report that says, based on our findings, here are some of the things that, you all expressed as desires for this particular property. I also feel that, did you get an understanding of who is actually making these decisions? Like, did they deliberately reach back into the community to, for example, touch bases with the Whittemore Alumni Association or any stakeholders or constituents who have probably, walked the halls of Whittemore, or who have, who are, considered in some respects leaders or people who can reach other members of the community to get more input? What did they say anything about that?
Well, I kind of think that was the reason what prompted all this huge interest from the community part to coming in and making this presentation today, was because they felt left out. There was no, they didn't have us at the table. When I say us, I mean the community itself, when they made the decision to demolish the building. Okay, and I think it was that's what the big concern was about, and that was part of the speech. Conveying of information. And the grand issue was that the community didn't know about the decision that they came to, and it didn't. From what I heard now, was that they didn't ask the community anything before they came to that decision. Mm. Now, in all fairness, now I got to say this, if it's a decision that was not based on community input and just based on the structural rigidity of a building, then they will not then community input in terms of what to do with it doesn't necessarily come into play like that, because you're talking about safety. Okay, I'm trying to put everything on the table here. So
okay. Well, let's go to some of the comments, and just kind of see where people's thoughts are. And I think that this is good fodder for information that needs to be taken back to City Council. And so when's the next City Council meeting?
My understanding is it's happened the 2 Mondays out of the month. Somebody needs to correct me on this. The first and the third Monday, I believe.
Okay. So you say it was a packed house today, or there was a large crowd?
It was a large crowd.
Okay. That same crowd needs to show up at the next meeting and bring 2 or 3 more people. Number one, because they don't hear us if we're not loud enough. Number one. All right. But also, I believe that in the meantime, there also needs to be a call for some meetings with the key people who are making these decisions, so that, the heads can come together and hear one another out. Maybe they're not really hearing us because may already know what they want to do or what they're going to do. But if they're willing to hold off, and you're saying no decisions were made at this council meeting, is that correct?
Well, the only decision I know is that they're going to go with the architectural plan, the architectural recommendation, and that is to.
So a decision was made that they're going to, if you're saying that.
To that extent, okay. Now, at the same time, they accepted a request from Cedric's statement about having another meeting with the community. I think the mayor was receptive to that, and she agreed that they would have another meeting. So before, just before they do a solid yes or no to that. Okay.
Any chance of getting Cedric on here for a few minutes? While I go through some of these comments. So I'm going to scroll through, and I'm just saying, because if Cedric was speaking, and maybe he can shed some light on some of the blanks or the voids that we have here. But Priscilla Fuller says, the city did not present a proposed plan after tearing it down today. And I guess that's my question. If they decided that they're going to go with the architectural recommendations, it sounds like to me the recommendation was to tear it down.
Right.
And if that's the case, did they present any plans to say what they were going to do once it's torn down? Do you know?
No. I didn't hear about any what they plan to do with it. Okay, but they said there are some options that we can consider. I mean, and one person did say it sounds good to have a community center, but now you're talking about costs, and they're cautious about that. They don't like to put themselves out there and say we can have this and we will build this without knowing where the money is going to come from. Okay. City jurisdictions are very cautious about that, and they won't make that statement. But they want to hear the fact that they agreed to have another meeting with the community. It says something that they're hesitant about moving forward without our and the input just might have some bearing on their next decision. Okay.
Yeah, I think we need some clarity on that, because on the one hand, you're saying they wanted to go with the architectural recommendation. So it may be that they're willing to have another meeting to get input from the community about what to do next. And so, versus not doing it at all, which I think is what people really want. They really want the building to be saved as much as possible.
Yeah. That was the reason for being there. That's the reason for the having a lot of people there today. And I don't know if I saw it in the newspaper that the mayor had already issued a statement giving her reasons why she chose to have to go with the raising of the building. So
okay, another comment that was made that I would
somebody said that Cedric is calling in.
Who's he calling? Is he calling you?
Look at your comments.
I see the comment, but who's he calling? Is he calling you? Is my
He
question.
doesn't call me yet.
Yeah. I'm going to go through these comments here because I think there's some good information here as far as, thoughts that people have when it comes down to stuff. One thing that I want to show as well, another comment from Priscilla Fuller. She says, is it possible to look at the process of the city's utilization that the city utilizes in the timely notification of the community when there's something significant occurring in their neighborhood? What information should they be sharing with the community? And that's another good question. I mean, we don't, the community doesn't ever want to feel like it's being railroaded or left out of decisions and stuff. So, how is the community being notified? Do you know?
Yeah, but Brother Cedric is calling in right now.
Okay. Do you want to mute yourself until you get Cedric situated?
Brother Cedric?
Okay.
Somebody say y'all are calling me. I'm just getting out of the state Democratic meeting.
Well, as you know, our broadcast is going on now, and one of the topics is the what transpired at the city council meeting today.
Yes, sir.
Now, if our viewing audience can hear you,
I can hear him loud and clear. They should be able to hear him.
Good.
Yes.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
So, April, what question do you have for Cedric?
Yeah. So, good evening, Cedric. How are you?
I can't hear her.
Okay.
Because you have your earplugs in, Brother Edward. So,
Question you have for Cedric?
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cedric.
Okay, Brother Edward, Cedric, can you hear me?
Great. How about you?
I'm great this evening. So, Brother Edward attended the city council meeting today, but there are just a few blanks we want to fill in based on what transpired at the city council meeting. So, can you tell us what you presented and what basically was the final reading at the city council meeting this evening?
Yes. Thank you so much, Brother McQueen and Sister April. We had an opportunity. I thank the Whittemore community, former students, and all those concerned for the opportunity to speak on their behalf, to be the spokesperson today. And we addressed the council with concerns that that was brought up as a result of a meeting called by Reverend Carol Moore Addison. And we met, and those items of concern going all the way back to 2017, when the city met with the public for public input on what they can do to turn that building into a community center. And that building would have taken the place of constructing a building out at the Smith Jones Recreation Center, because they tore down that building. So this building would take the place of a structure in the Black community. But now we've since learned by way of a news article, that's why we presented today the Whittemore Race Path community and all presented to them about coming back to the community and saving that historic elementary school. Okay, so whenever you presented at the city council meeting today, what was the final notion as far as what the city plans to do? Brother Edward mentioned that they said that they were interested in meeting with the community. Are they holding off on their decision until they have another? I'm sorry, I couldn't be, so I don't know what privy to the information, but what you're saying, there was a rebuttal prepared by the city administrator that basically the building is too far gone, and you probably heard it already, and it'll cost about $14 million to get that building up to code. Let me say it like that. Mm-hmm. So then the question came back, and he gave all his reasons why they couldn't renovate the building. Then the question was asked from the mayor and council, would we like to have another community meeting with Adam Emmerich, bringing those concerns to the community? And we said to them, yes. You brought the initial meeting when you wanted to get the building and turn it into a community center. You wanted our thoughts on it. So we respectfully told the mayor, yes, please bring a meeting back to the community. So any day now we look to hear of a public input meeting where citizens will be able to go out to it
and share their thoughts on what the city will present as it relates to the current status of the former historic Whittemore Elementary School.
So did you take away from it, Cedric, that that building is going to be demolished, and this conversation is just going to help them moving forward as they determine what goes on that property, or does it give you the idea that they're going to hold off until they get more community input?
I perceive that they're going to hold off. You can tell they pretty much adamant about demolishing the building. But this, and I said it in the words that was given to us as stakeholders of the community. You come back to the stakeholders. And so this is an opportune time for us to come together as a community, and they're going to bring it back to the community for public input information. And I would say it was a lost cause today, because we at least halt, as one of the bullet points, halt the process, that they're going to bring it back to the community, and let's discuss this issue.
So what do you think needs to be done in preparation for that particular meeting between now and then? What do you think the community that has the most vested interest in this, what needs to happen in order for us to I guess present our best position to the city about that property?
We need to be united as a community. I know we all have different opinions about the building. And one thing the news reporter, Jennifer Roberts, asked Professor Gerald Floyd, she said, what do you say to someone when they say it's just a building? It's more than just a building. We are now faced with gentrification in our African-American community. If we easily go along with the demolishing of this building, we are furthermore talking about the gentrification and demolishing of the black community, of culture, of history. And my fears are for the housing authority, Huckabee Heights, who sits behind that building. We know we in a fight and it's somewhat inevitable, as we said today, growth and everything, but as much as we can fight for everybody else. So when people look at it's just a building, no, it's more than just a building. If we again allow history and historical landmarks in our black community to be demolished, then you're going to face what we're facing in Sandridge with pipeline, highway, and a substation moving closer to our community. So if the community be united, although we have our differences of opinion, but we got to look at the bigger picture. Either we're going to stand united, or divided we fall. And if we allow this to happen, you're about going to kiss the African Americans in the city of Conway goodbye, because they will be driven out. And we see what gentrification has done around the world. Let's say the United States. If you've ever been to Washington, Florida, other places. So it's more than a building. It's a historical landmark. Some people say, well, you should have said something earlier. We felt confident that the city was doing what it said it was doing. We were waiting. We've been noticing. And so somewhat we probably should have been on them, but we just felt confident that they were people of integrity and a city government of integrity. But we have since found out that we, as stakeholders, we had to make our case to them. And the Whittemore Race Path community did that this evening.
Now, there are a lot of questions about the financial aspects of this particular project, the 14 million versus the 400,000 plus. That the 400,000 being what it would cost to demolish versus the 14 million to restore it. Do you know, or did they say where those funds would come from or are coming from to make either happen?
The city administrator made very clear about what you can do with certain governmental funds, whether it be federal or those community block grant funds. You couldn't use certain things, even when it came to the COVID relief funds. You couldn't use it for infrastructure. So they didn't go into further details, but you can gather from that when he brought up the figure 14 million. I had a real estate broker that was there in the meeting, and she came out, she said, that's a bunch of junk. In this town, $14 million. She said, no, things could be done. Even if it was that's attainable. the city government know how to get hold of money, how to get hold of grant money, and then we have several things around that we can get hold to. So I think that was just to throw that figure out there. We would like to see that in writing, and I know they can put anything in writing, but we're not going to easily fold on that because it can be done. And other places throughout the Gullah Geechee Heritage Corridor, they're being renovated. They're being reborn as the McClellan High School in Florence. And as Professor Gerald Floyd said, they're about preserving landmarks and buildings. Why is this city about tearing buildings down? 14 million sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money. But if that is the dollar amount to renovate that building and bring it up to standard, it's with the work and with the connections, it can be done. They just renovated the Bird School. They renovated the McCown Auditorium. So whether private and public funds, it was done. They renovated the Peanut Warehouse, whether private or public funds and a mixture or whatever, and governmental funds, it's done. It's attainable. It can be done. We just have to hold their feet to the fire.
Well, yeah, I think we're going to have to definitely do that. And then also as a community, we have to do more than we have to definitely show up at the meetings to be a voice, but we're also going to have to be able to rally from a financial standpoint to show them that, we're behind the project as well. And like you said, private and public donations, I guarantee that in a lot of respects is sometimes more private than anything. We know how that talks. But another question that seemed to be a common question in the thread tonight is, what is the concept about what's going into the building, or, also what would happen if the building were to be demolished, and what happened to those plans that where they collected all that information back in 2017? What happened to that information? Do you know if they're planning to pull from those plans to do anything, or did they say anything about it?
They didn't say anything about it, but I'm confident. I'm confident in the meeting, the public meeting that's upcoming with them. That because we referenced that, let's go back to the proposal of doing that. What they said it would do, that it would be a community center, classrooms, a museum type place, and all of those things in that building, kind of like a business incubator for those that need a place to jumpstart their business or looking for a location in one of those rooms. So I'm confident that with the request for them to revisit that 2017 proposal, and we sticking together and becoming that one voice, united, we can make it happen, that we can see that building renovated and turn into that community center where children can go. They want to have the cross 378 and 501 to get to the big library. There would be a library on site and computer lab that they can work with the children after school as their desires were, and our desires to see that ongoing in the community, to be an asset to the community, a resource center and human resources or whatever they can do to help build up the community.
I think that accountability piece you talked about, Cedric, is really important too. As someone said earlier, the idea of maybe some type of a subcommittee with community and town officials coming up with a proposed plan, that could possibly work to make sure that, all minds and hearts are at the table and discussing the plans and just knowing what, the right hand knowing what the left hand is doing, that kind of thing. So, I think that you've given us some really good information tonight about what happened at the city council meeting. And I'm sure the community thanks you for, standing in the gap to be a voice. And, it's a long time coming as far as what needs to be done with that property, regardless of what happens, because, it is historic, but it's become also an eyesore. And I think our community deserves better. And so, when we do come to the table, I think some of the main takeaways from what we've talked about tonight include the funding, the plans, the service to community as far as the amenities and features that will be offered to the community. And, what we have to remember, too, is that I think, and Cedric, I don't know if you attended one of those meetings or not. I'm sure you were at one of those meetings. But, there was definitely diversity at those meetings. And so I would hope that there would be diversity at these city council meetings, speaking on behalf of not only just our traditional Whittemore community, but it's time that we broke down these silos. It's time to break them down and everybody really understand the intricacies of the history of that particular property and the legacy that is Whittemore, and how it has permeated through our entire community, from being on 378 as Whittemore Elementary and High School to now being even a part of the Conway High School legacy. I mean, you can't have Conway High without what the portion that Whittemore is of Conway High. So there should be a lot more constituents out there fighting for this, historic site. And even if we don't have more people at the table, we need to be at the table. Okay, you see what I'm pointing at? We need to be at the table. So thank you,
April. I think going forward, there was a core group of persons that attended the initial meeting, but I think I'm confident the community will be pleased because they will get an opportunity to serve. I don't have permission to release the name tonight because they're still in for me, but there are going to be two groups that come out of this that are going to be long serving in the community, and it'll be a chance for others in the community to partner. There's going to be a place for everyone, as you just said. No matter where you come, social, economic status, there's going to be a place for everyone that's part of the Whittemore race path, whatever. They're going to be able to join in with this endeavor, because the fight would then be for them too, and the safeguarding of their legacy on their street, their block. And I think the community is going to be very pleased, and you're going to see one big cohesiveness come out of this, where we finally come back together and we realize that I may quote it just a little wrong, but don't hold it to it. My brain has been going for the day. We may have come from different places, as in paraphrasing Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, but we're all on the same ship. And if this ship go down, we all go down together. So we can't afford for the ship to go down. So no matter what walk of life anyone came from, around Whittemore, or had some been touched by Whittemore, Conway Junior High School, West Conway Middle School, Whittemore Park Middle School, and the Whittemore area itself, with this group and groups that are coming out of this, and you'll hear more about it in the coming days and everything, I think we'll be pleased, and we'll get back to a sense of community, a sense of village, where it takes the village to raise the child. And with this, and it won't be the big eyes, the little you, and the who's who. It's about all of us together saving the community. And with this, I think we'll be very pleased, and it'll be something to save the legacy and those things that are left, and the things that we can preserve going forward.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Cedric, for bringing this information to us and for calling us on the fly. Thank you, Jolie Hatcher, for letting us know he was going to call in. Really do appreciate that. And like I said, all of the great comments here tonight, it shows you that the community is watching, and people have done their homework. And like you said, we want to trust that our elected officials and city officials will do what they're supposed to do. But as with anything else, there's accountability, whether you are doing the best job or the worst job. There's accountability in everything. So, thank you. And, we look forward to having you on. And you know what? You were our test tonight, our litmus test, Brother Edward, for phone-ins. You see that, don't you? I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. We're going to have to work that out. We're going to have to work that out. Yeah. But Cedric, thank you so much. And, keep fighting a good fight. We appreciate you.
Okay. Yeah, he's off the phone now.
All right, good. But Brother Edward, it's a lot. And just like someone said, there's a lot of emotion tied to this. And even Cedric said it. April Thomas, who's watching tonight. Thank you so much, April, who's doing great things with Horry County Rising. She says it's so hard when you're emotionally, historically connected to a structure and it's lost. And it's true. When you think about it, most of the people who were commenting tonight are touched
by Whittemore.
That's right. Have a connection to it. I have a connection to Whittemore. My mom was a 1962 graduate, so it affects all of us. It really does.
Yeah,
it affects all of us
in some kind of way. We all have been touched. Okay. but anyway, April, I know time is getting upon us, but the would be remiss if we didn't at least touch base on the gala, on the guys and the girls and pearls, the guys and the black gala that we mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? I think we should give them a few seconds of that.
Yeah, I really, yeah, we can definitely show that. And, just want to encourage everyone who's, I'm sure a lot of people were here primarily to hear about the Whittemore situation. And we just encourage you all to stay vigilant and passionate about it. And I'm sure that the groups that Cedric talked about hope will come together and, bring us into what it is that they're doing to make this shift. And but with that being said, it was a great conversation, great discussion about that, Brother Edward. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Becky DeWitt, for tuning in tonight. And like I said, Jolene Hatcher and Utaqua Brown Grissett, really do appreciate it. Mary Skinner Jones, thank you so much for your comments. Appreciate you as well. Beverly Brown Myers, thank you so much for joining in as well. So
we heard from some people we haven't heard from before.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
It's just that bearing.
Yes, absolutely.
Certainly appreciate that.
Yeah. So so Brother Edward, you attended this gala, Guys in Ties, Girls in Pearls.
I did, and captured a bit of it on most of it by still camera, but captured quite a bit of it on video. And I was just so impressed with our young people that they pulled together and to be creative in such a organized fashion. Okay, the ambience was far-reaching. The atmosphere there for this to happen was far-reaching. It's something to see. I don't know how to explain it anymore, but
who were the organizers of the event?
Tracy Evans is the name, I believe, and Miss Washington. I didn't get there. I don't want to talk too soon about that, but they were, and whenever we get the opportunity, April, we're going to have them back on the program. They were on your program on the right on your the network some time ago. But I just wanted to give the audience just a tad bit of what they're seeing. Organized a group of young people, and my understanding is that this just picked them. That you didn't have to be in any particular income area or any fraternity or sorority or anything, and they were receptive themselves to this, to being a part of this. And if you can just let's go with it.
All right.
Can you put it up?
Okay.
Oh, we see you now. Don't start showing out.
Yeah. I had quite a bit of video for them, but I was impressed. I can't talk a whole lot about it right now because of some things, some details that I'm not sure of, and I don't want to talk ahead of time. Okay, so better be careful about that. But congratulations to them, and again, we're gonna have the organizers on this program the next time or in the near future. So that's something for you parents to look at. I mean, if you've got young adults, especially these boys. I mean, I just saw the discipline there. I guess that's what really impressed me so much. It's just these young boys who, they just fell in line. Okay, just fell in line and started doing that. So, but anyway, congratulations to them. And I guess we're out of time here almost, right? About 8:26.
Oh yeah. So we just want to thank everyone for joining tonight. Thank you to all of our viewers who commented, and thank you to Cedric Blaine Spain for jumping in on the conversation. Pretty much impromptu. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
So if you will, please continue to follow World Community Magazine for developments concerning this issue. But we're here every Monday at 7 p.m. with a special topic or a special guest, and we appreciate your support. So stay tuned, and we'll be back next week. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we may have some good stuff related to the Summer Reading Initiative. And
you're going to want to see this. Okay?
Yeah, I think we may. And but you'll see the promo when it comes out. So thank you again, everyone, and just continue to have a wonderful week.
All right. See you next week, same time. God bless.
All right.
Thank you for watching the World Community Magazine's Hour of Power Live on Facebook with your host Edward McQueen and April Garner.